On this episode of the Oklahoma Breakdown with Ikard and Lehman, presented by Riverwind Casino, former OU All-American Rufus Alexander joins us to talk about, well, everything that has happened over the last couple of weeks. We give you the latest OU football updates in the National College Football Roundup. We update the College Football QB Carousel and hit the highlights of a few of this week's bowl games. And we finish up giving you our winners and losers of the week. Please download and subscribe to the podcast, rate it 5 stars, and write us a good review. Follow the show on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Just search Oklahoma Breakdown on any of those, and you'll find us. All right. Our man, Michael Hosty, will kick this thing off. It's time for the Oklahoma Breakdown. It's a beautiful Thursday, December 23rd. Well, actually, we're recording this Wednesday morning, so that we're going earlier than normal, but you're listening to the Oklahoma Breakdown with Ikard and Lehman, presented by Riverwind Casino. Riverwind is Oklahoma City's premier casino experience, and your health and safety are Riverwind's #1 priorities. There are so many reasons why Riverwind is consistently voted OKC's #1 casino, but it all starts with their amazing variety of gaming thrills and excitement. Riverwind's beautiful award-winning environment plays host to more than 2,800 of the latest electronic games with a huge selection of table games, including blackjack, blackjack match, roulette, and Teddy's favorite, craps. No matter what your game, Riverwind has it in spades and hearts. And Fridays in December from 6 p.m. to midnight, you can win your share of $60,000 in cash and bonus play in Riverwind's $60,000 Rudolph's Riches promotion. Drawings are every 30 minutes, and grand prize winners will be selected at 11:59. If you need help finding your way, just visit riverwind.com. Riverwind Casino, still the one. Now, we are recording this Wednesday morning. Please leave us a 5-star review and a nice comment. Also, if you want to sponsor the podcast, you can email the Oklahoma Breakdown at gmail.com. Ted, it is the week of Christmas, chaos. How you doing? It looks like you're playing a road game today.
Playing a road game, hanging out at my sister's house. We're in Jinx. Everything's been good. Been a chaotic week. It's going to continue to be chaotic, but that's just how it is. Rolling through it, man.
How do we feel about Christmas on a Saturday? It's kind of awesome, but kind of not, right? Like I've been trying to decide which day I like my holidays to be on. Like 4th of July. Oh, give me a weekend 4th of July. Like there's no doubt, but like a Christmas Saturday I don't know, man. I don't know.
I want middle of the week holidays. I think what's probably best is probably a Wednesday or a Thursday. To where if it's on a weekend, it doesn't feel like you're getting your bang for your buck. You know what I'm saying? Need a little bit of extra time off during the work week.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like, okay, yeah, I get Friday off, but it's Christmas Eve. Like I would get Christmas Eve off anyways.
Right. Yeah.
So have we established our stance? We are anti-Christmas on a Saturday.
Yeah, we're midweek Christmas shows. What we are, I think.
Yeah, but hey, we're still recording. Got to give the people what they want, and we've got Rufus Alexander, an awesome interview with Rue, talking about Brent Venables, talking about Schmidt. Tells an awesome Schmidt story. So make sure you don't miss that. You're going to want to listen to it. But let's get to the OU stuff. So it's a little weird. So normally in bowl practice, you basically turn it into a mini spring practice. And normally bowl practice is utilized to get a bunch of your younger players, or your freshmen, your redshirt freshmen, those guys that haven't played significant snaps for you. It's a time for them to get better. I go back and think about my freshman year and what bowl practice was like. And we were getting ready for the Sun Bowl. So no one in the program was happy. So we basically, the young guys, it was inside drill, team run, and then basically scrimmaging at the end. We got after it, but it was one of those things where, Ted, I felt like I got better, like I improved as a football player. Now, I didn't know the position change was coming just a couple months later, but it was, I thought it was really valuable for me. And this team isn't getting that right now because of all the craziness with the coaching change and how the coaches had to hit the recruiting trail and the impact that early signing day has had now. And I talked to Neil Brown the other day, West Virginia's head coach, about it. And he said something that was interesting. He said that bowl practice, like it used to be a time when you got working, right? When you really got working. And he said now you kind of have to find the balance of working, but also rewarding your players for making a bowl. So I thought it was really interesting that he said that. And I know OU's circumstances is unique with all the craziness that's happened over the last couple of weeks, but it's just weird that, the team really hasn't practiced. I mean, they had they practiced on Monday and then they let the guys go home for a couple of days, and hey, it's Christmas. I get it, but it's just odd.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of things. I think every bowl game, the situation is a little bit different. For instance, whenever my freshman year, we went to the Orange Bowl, and I think we were down there maybe 10 days. So we had a full on, I'm telling you, it was training camp. We had ones versus ones, tackling to the ground scrimmages, like brutal, long inside drills. I think we did Oklahoma drill. It was nuts, man. And I think it's a reminder, like, you're going to Miami, and yeah, it's a bowl game. We're here to party. We're here to have fun, but we're trying to win a national championship. So lest anyone forget what we're here for, let's remind everyone real quickly. And I'm curious to see how Bob handles this, because yes, it's a reward. I kind of hate that line of thinking, because you don't want to reward someone for going 7-5 and going to a bowl game. Like, that shouldn't be a reward. That shouldn't be a good job, guys. I mean, maybe some places that you get a reward for that, but at Oklahoma, you don't get a reward for that. So what this is an extended period to get some work in. And I'm curious, because Venables this is a great opportunity to see what he's got on his roster. So I'm curious to see if they go down there and they get it on. You know what I'm saying? And try and at least go hard some, and try and get a feel for what they've got on that roster. And, there's got to be a fine line between getting work and a reward. Personally, I believe your reward is your bowl gift and the opportunity to play in the game. The rest of it, if we're not improving, then what in the heck are we doing here? The last thing we ever want to do is get the muscle memory or the feeling that, whenever we're in the postseason, it's party time and it's easy, right? We need to have the mentality of, oh my God, when we're going to a bowl game, get ready, boys, because we're going to have 4 or 5 practices where it's everything that you got.
Yeah. So Sooners practice Monday, letting the guys go home for a couple days. Then it sounds like, coming back Christmas Eve, that Christmas Eve practice that they'll have in Norman will be a typical Monday of a game week. So they'll practice in Norman, then they'll fly to San Antonio, I think later that day, and then Christmas Day, which is on a Saturday this year, which we have established, not a fan. That'll be a Tuesday of game week down in San Antonio. So that's a big work day. How about a big work day on Christmas Day?
I like it. I'm curious how Schmidt's treating this whole thing. Because there's got to be somewhat of a ramp up period. I don't think they're going to absolutely crush these guys, but here's the thing, man. There's a good chance you have an out of shape football team. They've had a ton of time off, right? So you have to figure out some type of way to keep those guys in shape over. It's going to be a month since they played their last game, and there hasn't been a whole lot of practice in between either. Yeah, because you lose game shape pretty quick.
Real quick. And I think that's something, for, people that haven't played football, it's hard to understand. Like, there is a massive difference between lifting and running and then actually playing.
Even
Like,
practice. Yeah.
It's just hard to simulate. People have tried for decades and decades to get football players in shape to play football. And man, there's just not a way to specifically work a guy into football shape other than you get on the practice field and you practice your ass off. Like, that's it, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and the thing that you worry about is not just going out there and being out of shape during the game and losing the game, but you get hurt whenever you're tired and you're fatigued. So whenever you've got guys that are fresh, that are in shape, that are calloused and ready to play football, that's whenever you typically have less injuries. So it's something that it's not just about, being competitive and, trying to develop the proper mindset to attack bowl games. It's also about protecting the players.
Right. And with how important of an offseason it's going to be for this program, right? For Brent Venables to instill his culture and Schmidt to do his thing. Like, you want all your guys healthy going into that type of offseason. One of the worst things that happens, guy gets hurt in a bowl game and then is injured in the offseason and can't make that jump, right? Can't develop the way that this new strength and conditioning staff would want them to develop and the way that this new head coach would want them to develop. So yeah, you gotta get these guys in shape to play this game, to protect them in a weird way. I know that sounds, it's like, hey, make them miserable so that they don't get injured. It's an interesting concept.
No, it's totally right. That's exactly right. And there's a fine balance there, but they're always going to lean on the side of being conditioned. I mean, that's where the term comes from. You have to condition yourself to be able to play in that type of environment. It's going to be on turf. It's going to be in a dome. Weather's not going to be a factor, but it's going to be a physical outing. It's going to be, it's going to be tough. So, like I said, like that in football terms, the amount of time that they have had off recently is a lifetime. So it's you worry about the injury thing a little bit because you're right. It's going to be a very, very important offseason.
Yeah. Okay. So some of the players have reached out to me unprovoked. I haven't said anything. They've slid in my DMs, and it's basically just been to tell me that they really like some of the changes that have been made offensively. And, one guy, the way he put it is like, we are doing some common sense things that, some of the players never understood why they didn't do it a certain way. And we all know that Lincoln Riley is one of the brightest minds in offensive football. He had an incredible amount of success. It's hard to argue with the results, but I think things now, with Lebby coming in, with Joe John having a bigger role, it sounds like things have gotten a little more organized. Getting Cale Gundy ready to call plays in the Alamo Bowl. The coaches, they've changed the way that they watch film as an offense. Yeah. The call sheet is no longer a tiny piece of paper, Ted. The call sheet is now bigger, more organized. It's broken up into detailed situations.
They've got a play sheet that everyone knows about. That's interesting.
And yes, and they actually go over it with the players.
Are we going to have a first 15?
They're going to have a first 15.
Oh my God. Wow. Amazing.
So you look at this call sheet: runs, passes broken up. They've got personnel groupings on there.
Down and distance?
Down and distance situations, play types, play actions. It's insane. No, but I can't stress enough like how much easier that makes an offensive player's life when you have that sense of organization, when what these guys didn't know what the first play of the game was going to be ever.
Right.
I mean, that's a hard way to play football as a college kid. I mean, it just is. So you look at them, I think that the staff, the offensive staff that has been assembled and the guys that have stayed on board, they have made it a point of emphasis to make it as easy as possible on the players. And, a couple guys that reached out to me, they've told me they're getting more feedback from the coaches. They're getting their notes. And they really like it. It feels more collaborative to them. And that's important in my opinion. Like, I think that's the best way to develop chemistry between coaches and players. And I think it's a really good formula to playing some good football on the offensive side.
No, I agree. And so offense and defense are different, but like for me, defensively, being able to stay a little bit ahead of the chains mentally is big because everything happens fast out there. So the way a defensive call sheet works, usually called a ready list, is you've got situations on your call sheet. 1st and 10, this is the coverages, the fronts, and the blitzes that we're going to go with. In those down and distance, like you got a 3rd and long section, you've got a short yardage and goal line section, you've got a red zone section. So whenever you're out on the field, I know the ready list. I know how we practice that week. So if all of a sudden it's 2nd and 10, we get a big sack, okay, and now it's 3rd and 14. As that happens and I'm preparing for the next snap, I'm already pre-sorting in my head what probably is going to happen, like 1 or 2 blitzes, 1 or 2 calls, like what their personnel groupings that we've prepared for. Like whenever you have it all sectioned out, just those couple of seconds, like eliminating the last situation from your head and getting prepared for the next situation and staying ahead of it. Whenever the call comes in, I'm already expecting it. I'm already making, some of those arrangements in my head as to what to expect from the offense. So I'm sure it's the exact same thing on whenever you're situationally aware on offense. You know what's about to happen. You're kind of pre-sorting the playlist as to, I bet we go with this, or this in this situation, and you can start to get your ducks in a row for those types of plays. And it doesn't hit you like, oh my gosh, I didn't expect that to come in.
Right. No, I think it's all about making guys comfortable and making them confident, right? You play better football when you know what's coming.
If you don't know what's coming, the game is borderline impossible to play.
It's very, very difficult if there's a lot of mystery involved. And of course,
I always tell everyone, like, as the linebacker, if I don't have it down to like 2 or 3 plays exactly as to what's coming, or at least like the concept in the passing game, like for coverage, you're not going to make it. You may fall into a play, but you ain't going to make one.
So, for the offense now, you've got these situations, right, that they're practicing. You've got these concepts that they're practicing. It's broken down, it's separated, it's organized. They work the concepts, they work the situations, and then they watch it on film after. So it's one of those things where it's easy to follow along. And then when things are that organized, it allows you to work ahead, right? Just like you're saying, like it allows you to start taking a look at the practice tomorrow because everything is it's so streamlined and structured. And I know not everyone does it that way, but I've always thought that's the best way to do it, right? I've always thought that having that type of organization, work in certain situations on certain days in practice. That way, I would always, so like if Wednesday, you're doing 3rd and long, right? Well, Tuesday night, after you've reviewed everything from Tuesday's practice, Tuesday night, you're getting a little extra film in. What do you start looking at? You start looking at what the opposing defense does on 3rd and long. And it just helps your preparation so much. So hearing that from a couple of guys, that got me fired up. Now, I don't know if they're going to go put a 50 piece on Oregon in the Alamo Bowl. I got no idea. But I think establishing that now, like that structure and getting that in place, and then it seems like Lebby is also a very organized guy as well. I just am excited for the offensive players. It seems like it's just going to be easier to play on that side of the ball in this program.
No, I like it too. And, we always, as you view football, whether you're watching it on TV or you're at a game, however it is you're taking it in, it appears to be a fluid operation, right? The game is fluid. But really, when you break it down, offensively, if you've got 75 snaps in a game, you have 75 situations. Everything is situational, and it's all really broken down, and you should be able to practice that way. What's the down and distance? Where are we at on the field? What's the personnel grouping? What's the score? What's the weather? Like, if you put all of that mix, all of the situations together, you know how to prepare, you know how to play, and you know how to go execute a given play because you know what the situation is, so you know what the needed outcome is.
Yep. All right, one other thing, or a couple other things. So COVID is back to being a big concern in college football. Saw Michigan, their team, they're going to get their booster shot together on Wednesday, right? They're wearing masks in meetings, they're social distancing, and clearly they're doing that all because they're going to the college football playoff. They want to win a championship. Alabama is back to doing a lot of that stuff as well, right? They've basically gone back to their protocols from last season. We've seen Georgia, right? JT Daniels, he's got COVID. What does that mean for Georgia's quarterback room heading into the college football playoff? Like, it has become an issue, right? You see it in the pro leagues as well. But last I heard, right, as of today, OU doesn't have any COVID issues on the team. Now, who knows what happens with all the kids going home and then coming back? Like, that's the risk you run. But at least the last time they were together, there wasn't a big COVID issue. There wasn't any COVID issues on this team. So that's positive, but who knows, man? I mean, it's crazy how this is affecting football teams.
Yep. And it's almost to the calendar year exactly as to the wave last year. This is right whenever it came through. Pretty much everyone I knew, including myself, this time last year ended up getting COVID. It was crazy how many people had it. And I think that same thing's going to happen. You just hope that you can dodge it long enough to be able to get through traveling, playing, get back home, and hopefully it doesn't affect the game. And obviously everyone's health and everything is first and foremost, but it's going to affect some games out there. You just hope it's not yours, or I don't even know what they would do at the playoff if you started having teams just totally get run through.
I don't know, man. I hope we don't have to find out, but like, it's my fear that it's going to play a role in deciding who wins the national championship this year, and just sucks. It sucks. Yeah. It's almost been 2 years, man. Well, it's exhausting.
Take a guess who has the deepest roster.
Yeah.
Like
Roll
always.
Tide.
Yep.
Okay. One last thing. So the Jaren Kanak situation, right? Stud linebacker from Kansas. We talked about him decommitting from Clemson. Ted, you felt good about him ending up at Oklahoma. Well, due to some investigating by multiple people that cover Oklahoma football, it has been uncovered that he is enrolled at OU. And I loved Baker Mayfield's tweet that he sent to him. What do you say? I like your style. Sometimes you just got to go and roll and handle your own business. I thought that was great. But what do you think? Because I wonder how Venables feels about this, because, he is so loyal to Dabo, and that guy was headed to Clemson. And I don't think Venables was like, hey, enroll, let's try to keep this under wraps or anything like this. But I just wonder, it becoming public this way, I wonder how that sits with BV. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the way how you've heard him talk about Sweeney and Clemson and his time there and doing things the right way, and he's not going to recruit those guys. And we talked about it. There's only so much you can do if you're not actively going out searching those guys up and they are beating down your door to come play for you. At some point, you have to say, I'm sorry, this is where they want to go. They're not going to play there. I don't want them to go do something they don't want to do. Obviously, they're good players. I feel like they can help our program. Didn't want it to go down this way, but there's not really a whole lot you can do. If you've got a spot available for them, they're going to help you. They're telling you they don't want to play at the other place. The only reason they were going there is because of you. At some point, you've done everything that you can. Aside from publicly coming out and saying you cannot come here, there's not a place for you. There's really nothing else you can do. And Venables, he said this from the very beginning, and I feel like now that enough of this stuff has come out. Gabe, you were standing right there whenever we were talking to BV about this kid, and he's like, man, I'm telling him, I want you to go to Clemson to see how it's going to be, see how much you like it there. And, so apparently that's not working. Kanak wants to come to OU. And if that's what he's going to do, that's what he's going to do. So I think Venables has made it known publicly, and I'm sure privately, that he's not trying to raid the coffers from Clemson. So I think there's going to be more to follow. I do.
I agree. And I just think, I think it's important that people know that Brent Venables didn't orchestrate this behind the scenes or anything like that. Like, Kanak made this decision on his own, because I do think BV cares deeply about Dabo and Clemson. It's clear we've all heard him talk about how important Dabo has been to his career and how important Clemson has been to him. I don't want people to think he's saying that stuff publicly and then pulling strings behind the scenes. I don't think that's what happened here. I think you're spot on. I think Kanak said, you know what? I'm showing up, man, whether you like it or not. I'm showing up. I wanted to play for you. And really, yeah, that's out of BV's hands. I just feared that some people see this and they're like, oh, okay, Venables. Okay. Yeah. Talk the big talk. And then, you swoop in and steal one of the Clemson guys. But I don't think that's how this went down.
Right. He told him, no, Clemson, you went to Clemson, you visited there, you loved it there, you wanted to commit there, you wanted to sign there. You need to go see that through and make sure that that's, that is what you want. And if you get there and things turn like you don't end up liking it, well then, okay, we can have a discussion. But, clearly that didn't go down that way. And, especially as a young kid, you know what you want and you're going to go after it. And he's got that ability right now, which, by the way, has the makings of a fantastic football player. So I'm happy about it. sorry, Dabo. I'm happy about it.
Sorry, Dabo. And I'm sorry if BV's not a fan of how it all looks publicly, maybe, but this kid looks like he's going to be really good. So, hey, good for the Sooners. Hey, when OU gets more quality football players puts me in a good mood.
That's right.
So, okay, let's get to call your shot. And we asked you guys, what was the most important thing that happened this week in OU football? And we got some interesting responses. Ted, a lot of them had to do with Jaren Kanak being enrolled there at Oklahoma. This one comes from Ron at Talioki, who says, BV finally unlocking his Twitter account. You can tell the dust is starting to settle when this is on the radar as a highlight. Brent Venables' Twitter account is officially public. Teddy, did you ever think you'd see that?
I didn't. I was curious. I know that really frustrated a lot of people. So it's a good thing, I guess, that it's unlocked and ready to roll. I wonder if that was a decision of his, or if it's not like Joe C's telling him that you've got to unlock your Twitter account, but in order to be out there and get, a lot of attention for the program, if that's what that's all about. But it was kind of cool, in my opinion, to have the head coach that is kind of on lockdown a little bit, and it's not always just an ad campaign for the university, but I don't know. I know a lot of people follow it and get their information that way, so pretty cool.
This has Thad Turnipseed written all over it.
Probably so.
Thad throwing his weight around, baby. He's like, hey, we got to do the social media stuff. I'm sorry, but we got to. This other one comes from Jody Manning, who said, not losing any of our players this week. That's something we haven't talked a ton about, but Venables has gotten the job. And it seems like all the current players, which you got to retain your current players when a coaching change happens. Like it's a must. Like, he's done a great job of, I don't want to say convincing, but just like, it seems like he's done a great job of connecting with these guys in a short amount of time.
Yeah. I think whenever everything just kind of got thrown on the guys at once, there's probably, especially in this day and age, there's a natural inclination to start thinking about, okay, well, what's best for me? Do I need to start reaching out to coaches that recruited me before and see if there's a better spot available? But after everything settled down a little bit and you see the excitement, you see how practices have maybe changed a little bit for the offensive guys, probably some excitement defensively with the guys, kind of seeing the Venables track record and hearing how the conversation has progressed. So yeah, not only is it a good thing, I bet there's probably even a couple of, did I really make the right move here? Did I jump the gun on the transfer situation a little bit?
Yeah, I'm with you. There probably is a little bit of that. And then this last one, I couldn't ignore it, Ted, because I believe this is the first response to Call Your Shot that we have ever got that is in poem form.
Okay.
This comes from @BadHopSingle. Here we go. Let in my poetry reading voice. The overflowing feeling, the realization that what I'm seeing is true. The coach I defended through collapse and yearly upend is through. In his place, I have seen a cultural shift of what had been is now. Confidence in the unknown we all believe is true. There is still only one OU.
How about that?
Snaps for Bad Hop Single.
That's pretty good.
I did not see that coming. This podcast is getting more cultured and more cultured by the day. We got people sending in poems.
How was that just like your typical rhyming, or was that like a iambic pentameter type of how was that written out?
I have not studied the structure. I'll get back to you on that. Let me do a little more research. A stanza, a sonnet of sorts.
I have a feeling we're going to start getting a lot of poetry submissions now.
Send us your poems. Send us them. We're not scared. We can be cultured.
Yeah.
We read. What's up? All right, before we get to Rufus, birthday shout outs. Only a couple. Only a couple here. Okay, this was a very specific request. So here we go. Shout out to Will Holland, who lo and behold turns 34 on Christmas Day. Happy 34th birthday, Will.
Happy 34th birthday. Always felt bad for these kids growing up that just got the one gift for the Christmas/birthday put together. It's tough.
I bet some people give double presents, right? I don't. That's a tough situation. There's no
Yeah,
doubt.
it's bad.
Happy 40th birthday to Will Melton, a fellow 40-year-old for you, Ted.
That's big time. We gotta stick together, us 40-year-olds. Happy birthday, Will.
And happy birthday to our man, Harry Taylor. Every OU fan knows Harry. Happy birthday, Harry.
HJT, happy birthday.
All right, let's get to Rufus Alexander. But first, the only place to stop when you're road tripping is Love's Travel Stops. Love's has over 560 locations in 41 states, offering 24-hour access to clean and safe places. And Love's has everything when it comes to your road trip needs. Fuel, fresh food, all the snacks and drinks, including my favorite, Java Amore. People are starting to send me a lot of pictures of coffee, like a lot. I'm getting it a lot.
There's nothing wrong with that. You are the coffee guy.
That coffee is fantastic. Love's also has you covered if you forget your phone charger or headphones. They've expanded their mobile to go zone so you can grab any of that stuff there. Make sure you download the Love's Connect app for exclusive offers from today's most popular brands. The Love's Connect app also includes a route planner and store locator. When you see that red neon heart on the highway, stop in and say hi at Love's Travel Stops. For a full list of what Love's has to offer, visit loves.com. And make sure you bank at First Fidelity Bank. First Fidelity Bank is a full-service financial institution based in Oklahoma with tailored solutions for all your personal and business needs. Checking accounts, saving accounts, home loans, and much more. They do it all. Whether it's online banking from your computer or mobile banking from your phone, everything is stress-free with FFB. Making mobile deposits, paying bills online, and moving money to different accounts could not be easier. First Fidelity Bank also provides free ATMs worldwide, making banking convenient wherever you are. They also give back to the community. FFB donates a total of more than $500,000 to local charities and educational foundations. Make your life easier and go bank at First Fidelity Bank. Visit ffb.com for more information. All right, here's Rufus Alexander. It is our pleasure to be joined by a former OU All-American linebacker. He just happened to play for Brent Venables. Rufus Alexander is in the house. Ru, what's going on, man?
Man, not too much. I thought you was about to introduce Teddy because, he's a Buckets and All-American and Lions grade. So, I mean, sheesh. He taught me everything. I learned from him.
Hey, we all did. We were lucky. I learned everything from Rocky and Torrance. Passed it on. You passed it on. It's a good group, man. Good coach.
Yeah, good coach. For sure.
Okay, let's start there. Now, there's no way I'm not starting with your tweet. Did you just want to see the world burn, or what was that? Like, you're like, BV's at the airport and everyone lost their mind. What was that?
I went radio. Hey, I did it and I put my phone down. I did it and I put my phone down for like 10 minutes and came back to my phone and it was like, woof, fire sale. People were calling me, texting shit. I was like, dude, I was just messing around. I should have put a hope at the end of that.
That was the best thing ever. I said, I'm sure everyone was texting you and asking you, and I think sent me back like I was just messing. You would know before I would. I was like, oh my God, that's great. I love it.
Yeah, and so for me, it was just kind of like I've never broken a story anyway in my life, ever doing, even when I did radio. And even if I knew something, I would wait till somebody else would say it, because to me, it's not my deal to break. Even if he was coming here, he has guys that he has to talk to. You know how Coach Venables would do it anyway. If he was in town and it was going to be something he was going to do, it was going to be something that he would do it in a classy way. Not that he would sneak the story out to somebody or somebody would find out and that would be wrong to do it in that way. Me personally, it was just a huge hope of mine that he would be here because I figured, for Coach Venables, so nobody deserves it to me more than that guy. And he wouldn't, to me, he'd be the right choice to do something as well because of just his mentality and how he taught us and how we became players as men. I mean, he's just been an awesome leader in the community and stuff. So it was always a hope of mine that he would come back to OU after all this went down. And so my lucky tweet became true. So I'm happy about that anyway.
Like the Adam Schefter of tweeting about the OU head coaching search. Okay, so what was your reaction when Lincoln Riley took the USC job? Was your immediate reaction like, "Oh, I hope it is Brent Venables"? Were you mad? Were you sad? Like what all was going through your head when that whole sequence of events went down?
For me, it wasn't about him leaving, because again, it's a business. Teddy, were you still there whenever Coach Stoops was talking to us? Was it Florida or Notre Dame when he came to talk to us before he went and like talked to both schools?
I can't remember, honestly. I don't think so. Now, after 2000, I think he went and interviewed for was that where it was?
Florida. Spurrier retired, went to Washington, I believe. And then he went and interviewed at Florida, or it may have been Notre Dame. One of the two he went and interviewed.
I feel like it may have. I feel like after the 2000 season, maybe it was Cleveland. Is that right? Does that sound familiar? I don't remember, but I know everyone was super nervous about it, and
right,
it's a weird feeling.
And to me, the way he handled it, he called the team meeting and said, "Hey guys," and he said this, like a lot of the same things that Coach Stoops said about nobody's bigger than the University of Oklahoma. He repeated that same thing that he told us whenever he was going to look at one of those jobs, so that we wouldn't hear it from the media and we heard it from him. And it for the guys, it made us all nervous, one, but we all understood. And he explained it, and he said it was because of the way we played and what we've done. It's the reason why he gets to go and take these jobs and opportunity. I was a little bit more hurt for the kids in Norman than it was that Lincoln Riley left. That was there's a way to leave somewhere, and to me, that was the wrong way to leave. You take the blowback of what's going to happen in the face of the kids because you went and you talked to people's families. You sat on people's couches. You said, "I'm going to take your kid into my school and I'm going to look after him," and all those things that coaches say whenever they sit down on your couch and all that stuff. And to say that you made a decision in 6 hours or 7 hours after getting the information, I think that's a slap in the face of the parents that he sat in their houses and told them that he was going to take care of their kids, because that's a big decision, allowing your kid to go either out of state a long ways. Coach Venables getting hired, I think that was the best situation. I think that's the best home run hire they can have. And for Coach Stoops to come off the dang golf course and come out there and like, "Hey, if we're gonna be all right," and kind of right the ship, he kind of calmed the seas and stuff a little bit by the things that he said and what he told Sooner Nation. And I don't know very many schools that have somebody that's on call Hall of Fame coach that's done it, won a national championship, and say, "Hey, I'm going to come out here and I'm going to calm the seas, coach these guys in the bowl game, coach them hard, calm the recruiting trails," and say, "Hey," and go and talk to parents and be the legend Bob Stoops. There's not very many coaches that can go in a household and be and everybody say Bob Stoops coming in the house, and their parents would know exactly who that person is as an interim coach. Everybody knows who Bob Stoops is across the country. And for that guy to come in and say, "Hey, the university is going to be all right. We're going to hire somebody good." That just, for OU, they're lucky they had that in their back pocket. And then they went out and hired a home run guy, a Coach Stoops guy, and somebody that understands the University of Oklahoma. We're blue collar. As much as they think that we're 5-star this and that, it's still a blue collar program. A hardworking program, and that's what got us to where we were. That's what Teddy them did before I got there, and that thing right there is what I think they lost while Lincoln Riley was there. And I've said that after the whole, I think it was the Georgia game going into that second year, watching him, went to a few practices, and I was kind of like, bro, this is not even the same team as when Coach Stoops left. And I stopped kind of hanging around the practices and stuff and going out there in the summers. I usually go to a practice in the summers and stuff. And it just wasn't the same. It just didn't feel the same. The guys didn't feel the same. So for me, I like the hire of Coach Venables because I mean, there's going to be some different stuff's going to go on over there. That's for sure.
One of the things we saw was, and I don't know that it's ever a good idea to listen to the fans or former players whenever they come out in mass for someone, but that's as soon as the name Venables started being floating around, you saw tons of former players from, all different eras there come out in support. You saw the fan base come out and support like crazy. That says quite a bit right there. Whenever you coached, you had definitely some super highs, but also had some lows at Oklahoma too. And he left and went to Clemson, and I think that change was good for him. But to see everyone come together and unanimous, like a lot of times you make a hire, some people like it, some don't, but it's been pretty much unanimous across the board that everyone loves that BV's back.
Yeah, I think it's more of because of his defensive, what he's done defensively. I think his eye for talent. I mean, here lately, everything's been about a 5-star posing in front of Lamborghinis, all this flashy show me kind of thing. And I think, and it's not even say it's a bad recruiting tool, but it's just, it kind of trickled off onto the field. It was all about the me thing. It was all about look what I can do. And the NIL is a huge thing, but you also still have to have a team kind of outlook on things. And it just seemed like the recruiting style became more about all about the 5-star kid to come in there. And what Coach Venables has done, like getting athletes and turning them and seeing something like past what they are. I mean, he did it with me. He did it with Curtis Lofton. He did it with the Isaiah kid, Simmons kid out of Kansas. I mean, you can go on and on down the line of 3-star kids that he turned into powerhouses and had a few 5-stars up front that were really good dudes, but the back end was of hard working. He does a great job of mixing in the blue collar kid with the superstar kid that ends up turning in a kid that is a superstar that we didn't even see. And I think that's what he did that. I mean, for me, I never played linebacker a day in my life. I was a skinny defensive end out of Louisiana. And he saw me as a linebacker, and he does a great job of foreshadowing what guys can be, and he does a great job of those things, and you got to love Coach Venables for that. So I think what you'll see on the field is a good mix of it, good mix of hard work, good mix of smarts and brilliance of what kids are supposed to do, and they're gonna know where the hell they got to be. And B Hall coming back, I think, is one of the most home run hires that one of the biggest home run hires that he did because. I mean, Teddy can tell you about B Hall as well. The dude is like an eagle eye in the booth. He sees things. He knows calls. He knows all the small nuances of being a defensive coach as well. And he helped beat Coach Venables a lot whenever he was there at OU.
Okay, so Teddy and I have talked about it, but every guy's got their own experience. So for you, Rue, what was it like playing for Brent Venables? Like, what are these kids getting themselves into, man?
Oh, I mean, man, it's gonna be a hate relationship in the beginning. That's a fact. I mean, but you'll know when you earn his respect, when he respects your knowledge for the game. Whenever he'll discuss, all right, well, what are you seeing right here? And then you can like talk through defense and stuff in the beginning, but he's going to coach you hard on how to know what you're supposed to do. That 1 inch he's supposed to be somewhere. He's going to flip his lid on a few things. And then as you get better and get a better understanding of what you're supposed to do and get out of your feelings a lot of time. I had to get out of my feelings whenever I got to OU, whenever, he would pretty much go off on me and pretty much open my eyes up to learning. And when I started to learn and understand, well, how the hell does he know this is coming by being over here? How does he know by being 1 inch this way, I don't get captured by a guard or something? So as my knowledge got better, man, it was the relationship between me and Coach Venables got better. And I could take my butt chewings whenever I was wrong. But it also helped me to become a better leader to the other guys that would be out there. I would know who messed up and where they messed up at. And I can go to the sideline and say, hey, Coach V, well, he wasn't in this gap, and we would know where to go. And I could go to the defensive end or D tackle, hey, man, you can't get cut off. So it's things like that, man. What they're getting themselves into is to learn football at the highest level of learning football. Because I went into the NFL, and I didn't have to really learn anything. It was just catching up with the speed. And so Coach Venables, what they're getting themselves into is a hard-nosed coach that's not going to take any nonsense. He knows what he's talking about, and he's not going to compromise on his knowledge. But at the end of it, you'll love him for it. I mean, I'm telling you, I got my butt chewed out. And Clint Ingram is like one of the most athletic guys I've seen play football. And the guy didn't start playing Teddy, till his last senior year?
Yeah.
His last year. And that's all until he himself started kind of really start to listen to Coach Venables and stop being Clint and doing what Clint wanted to do.
You can see guys where all of a sudden it all just comes together, right?
Right. And it was amazing. And then you see Clint go into the NFL and have a really good career. But it took Clint to the senior year to figure out, well, damn, this guy knows what he's talking about. Well, let me just go ahead and flow and do what he tells me to do and listen. And I mean, Clint was a totally different dude. And it's the faster you understand that this dude knows what he's talking about. And I'm going to go ahead and take the chewings and move that inch when he says move the inch and drop where he says to drop and look at the bigger picture instead of looking at what's in front of you. You'll be able to come along faster and you'll have a better relationship with Coach Venables. And I think, I don't know how he is now. They say he's kind of changed a little bit relationship wise, but I mean, if you got the younger Coach Venables, it was a different ball game out there. I can't say a lot of the stories, but I mean, there was the bad ones that went out there.
So I'm curious to hear what you think about how that translates to being a head coach, because we've seen him where he's in the meeting room every single day with a group of guys. He's in individual coaching those guys. He's specifically coaching that group also as a defensive coordinator, but as a head coach, and he's got a defensive coordinator that's coaching the linebackers. I'm sure he's still going to be in that room pretty much every day, but as the CEO of the football team, how do you think all of that translates?
I think it'll translate well because I think he hired Jeff Lebby that's better at what he's not good at doing. And Jeff Lebby had one of a very high octane offense in the SEC, and that's done well. So I'm thinking he'll lean on him a lot more and trust his eye on what he does. And that's, to me, I think that's a special hire as far as a head coach if you hire where you're deficient at. And then he went in on the other side of it. He hired guys that understands his defense, and he hired guys that he trusts. Now he hired a guy to coach linebackers, and that he can also give his input on and what he wants done. But he also hired a guy in B Hall that's that guy that also knew everything and he taught from a young age to do a lot of the things that he's comfortable with doing. So I think his hires were very smart, very strategic, and one where he doesn't have to worry about a lot. Off season, he'll be focusing all on recruiting and teaching and stuff. He will not worry about anything that has to do with training a kid because he trusts and believes in Schmidt and what Schmidt does. And he's been tutored by 3 of the greatest coaches in college football. I mean, you talk about Schneider, who's a grinded out, hardworking, stay all night long, sleep in your office type of and boss of other guys. And then you have Coach Stoops, who's a family integrated into it, hard work, but also has a family motto into everything that gets you, that allows you to understand the importance of family. And then you go to Dabo Swinney, who has more of a spiritual way as well, doing things, because he wears his spirituality on his sleeves. He talks about his faith in God and different things like that. So, and then he talks about the love of loving the player and the athlete and things like that as also. So he's had three of the greatest coaches in college football, and he has three different ways of doing football. And then Coach Stoops is a phone call away. Dabo Swinney's a phone call away. Those guys will want to see him succeed. And I think for him being a CEO, they're going to tell him the do's and don'ts. And Coach Venables is not a guy that's too prideful not to listen. He'll be like, all right, okay, I see what you're saying. And then he'll take that advice and stuff. So I think he'll be fine as a CEO, as a leader of young men. And he'll step up for himself when he has to step up for himself.
Rue, you watch the games extremely closely. You mentioned how you thought, just from a practice perspective, things had changed with the program. What do you think the biggest differences are going to be, right, from what we've seen these last couple of years with this program under Lincoln Riley to what we're going to see, next year and moving forward under BV?
I think the toughness and attitude is going to be something. The culture is going to change. Whenever it all happened, whenever Coach Stoops retired, in the next year, the first thing that happened was the letting go of Jerry Schmidt. And I said this, like, it takes 3 years to change a culture at a school. It takes 3. Whenever you get rid of somebody that's been a staple of the program, it'll take 3 years for it all to look different. And it'll take, with the way Coach Schmidt does things, it'll take a year, maybe 2. And if the talent is really, really good, I mean, you can probably turn it around faster and where they're more disciplined. I think you're going to see a more disciplined team. You're going to see a tougher team. You're going to see a stronger team. You're going to see a team that comes out and they will discipline far as knowing the knowledge of football, but discipline as far as those guys not jumping off sides, getting bad penalties, and not fearing the consequences of it. Discipline as far as getting your other guys to bring their asses to practice and practice hard, or bringing their butts to workout and working out hard. So that whole guys policing themselves things, if they're not policing themselves now, you don't want Schmidt to police, because that's the worst part of being policed, is that guy's policing you and you're in there playing the weakest link on the football field where everybody runs until they throw up or somebody's not making their times and you have to come back. You don't want that guy to police you. So when guys start policing themselves, you kind of get back to, the winning of championships and stuff. And so I think that was the big difference. At the time, whenever Lincoln Riley got the team, OU didn't need a culture change. They needed some adjustments and tweaks on defense. And he changed the culture and didn't really address the defensive need. He hired a friend to be a defensive line coach. And that didn't help out. That didn't help the team. That didn't help anybody. If you go back and you look at it, I mean, it didn't really help a lot of people whenever the first 2 hires he made was the hiring that he made was a strength and conditioning coach and a new defensive line coach. And you really didn't get much out of that. You got a culture change and the defense pretty much stayed the same. And so you go into year 3 retooling everything. And I think you'll have a program that's a solid program built from the inside out. And it all starts in the off season. The competition, the strength and conditioning, the level of play. And I've said this plenty of times. I've seen Coach Schmidt transform men from Hakeem Millington, who left, who could barely lift the bar, to Duke Robertson, who was out of shape, into a 2nd round draft pick to the Carolina Panthers, to a 380-pound Orlando Brown, who turned into a monster All-American football player who could barely move when he got at OU. So you're looking at somebody that reshaped men and made them men in 1st-round draft picks, and guys that couldn't do anything be able to do something. So I think you look at that as his pedigree of what he can do. Man, I think the sky's the limit for this team, especially what they have on the roster and who they kept as coaches.
I totally agree. I think one of the things that you hit on it there is pedigree, championship pedigree. Venables has the championship pedigree. Schmidt definitely has it everywhere he's gone. I think like that was one of my complaints with Lincoln was that I didn't think he took the strength and conditioning aspect of the program as importantly as it should have been. If you go back, Rufus, whenever you played, like everyone knew, like that's whenever you win the championship, right? It's all done
Yeah.
through the strength and conditioning program. And I think Lincoln, because he hadn't won a championship anywhere, I think he viewed it as strictly there's strength and conditioning, and then there's football. Like that doesn't develop the culture of our program, but that's really it, right? I mean, that's the nuts and bolts of what you do.
Yeah, I think that's the culture that you have. I mean, if you look at it, you look at it from the beginning. I mean, you have winter workouts, a little bit of spring, and then you have that June, that July, and that August where you building. I mean, either they're gonna build their mentality, how they are on the field. If they're going, I mean, it builds so much their mental toughness, their strength, and all that. And those are I mean, to me, that's the most important part of football. And then comes in the other part is playing your offense fast and strong, like with a bunch of fast, strong guys. And if you negate that part of it, and they just come in there and they kind of go through the motions in that, when they get in tough games, they'll get bullied. When they get down to that part where they need a defensive stand, I mean, if they ain't got that mental toughness and they tired and their hands on their hips, they're gonna get pushed around. So it was always whenever when we lost the bowl game, it's like, well, what did we look like whenever we lost the bowl game? That determined what the winter in the summer is going to look like. If we got pushed around, we about to lift some weight. We about to move some iron in this summer. And if we look like we were gassed, well, dang, June and July is about to be hell on wheels. And I don't know if we're going to make it. This run is going to be serious. So that's where you know that Schmidt thing. That's where the Schmidt factor kind of came in. We lost the bowl game, and it was like, oh damn, what we about to do this summer? What's going to be the new motto on the shirt? That's going to determine how hard this thing's going to be if he's about to kill us or something. So I look at those guys, man, and it was a noticeable difference on the field. And like Teddy said, man, I don't think he looked at that component as not as important as the X's and O's and getting the 5-star guy. I think he felt like I got the athlete and I'm just going to do whatever and they're going to go out there and show out. This was I think this year and a little bit of last year, you barely saw any breakaway touchdowns. Like you go from D.D. Westbrook running away from people, Hollywood, C.D. Lamb. And this past year, if you go look back at the team, you never saw any guy break away for easy touchdowns. You never saw a guy catch the ball and just take off down the sideline and he's just outrunning guys by a long ways. And so that made the offense kind of bog down a little bit whenever you go back and look at this past year. And it kind of gotten worse, like it's like from last year to this year, it kind of got like even worse and worse. And Marvin Mims was the same guy that he was as a freshman. Hazelwood didn't change much as a player from whenever he got here to now. Kennedy Brooks didn't get more explosive. You just kind of started seeing from like player to player down the line, the offensive line didn't get nastier and pushing people down the line. They just stayed the same. And they kind of almost changed their blocking to position blocking instead of absolutely killing and mauling people. Whenever they won the award, I watched them, and Gabe would talk about it. Whenever they played against Texas and that kid that talked that trash, I've never seen somebody abuse a defensive lineman the way Cody Ford and those guys abused a kid from Texas in the Big 12 championship game. I mean, physically abused a man and punt. I mean, it was so bad, and you just never saw that kind of carry over from the next year and the next year. And that goes to say their mentality changed, and those was the last group of guys that had a lot of Schmidt in them as well.
Yeah, you're right, and I think that some of these young players on this roster are about to find out a lot about themselves because that's
Building
one thing.
hurts.
Jerry Schmidt will make you question what type of man you are and how much you actually want it, like how good you want to actually be. And the one thing people keep asking for before we let you get out of here, man, you got to give us a Schmidt story. Just one. It doesn't have to be a crazy one. I would prefer it is, but just give us one before you get out of here.
I love the PTSD. As soon as you said that, I saw Rufus's head go down.
Oh, so this was whenever they had Coach Ed and Coach Hill, and we were running stadiums. Tommy Harris, I mean, he's on the cover of Sports Illustrated, and we were running stadiums. And Teddy, it was whenever they didn't have the bleachers out there, so we all had a lane. So it was two people to a lane. So when the first person get up, and as soon as he touched down, you have to take off and go. So it was Tommy, Bubba Moses. Oh man, there was a few other guys. I don't remember who it all was. It was me, Michael Hawkins, Travis Wilson that was there. Bubba Moses first hit his shin on the chair thing, like that the
metal framing that was up.
Framing thing where the seats was be on top of that they unscrewed. So he had to the bone, like you damn near could see his bone whenever he got hit. So this man finished blood all down his socks and stuff, and he's still running his stadiums, going all the way up, touching the wall, coming back down. And Jim and them look at it. He said, "Nah, man, I'm good. He said, "I'm not coming back." So Tommy gets up and he's running. Tommy goes up midway and blacks out from the heat. And it said, "Tommy, get up and run. Man, I can't see. Get up and run. I can't see." So Jim and Scott, they go up, get Tommy halfway up, and he comes down, and they're walking Tommy down. And I'm sitting there, I'm looking at Michael Hawkins. I look at Travis Wilson. I'm like, damn, that's Tommy Harris, and he's not making it. So we go up, and I'm like, look at Bubba Moses' leg, and it's bleeding. And so we're going up. We get on like number 9. So you know when you get to the top and you stop and your legs start shaking? So Travis Wilson taps out. He said, "Man, I can't go no more." "All right, get down." And Coach Ed used to say, "Go ahead, Rook, get down, Rook." So he walks to the outside and walks down the stairs. Michael Hawkins taps out and hides in the tunnel way. And I missed the last 2 times. So they said that we had to stay and we had to run them again. So here we are running them again. And I'm just going, so they let me, Travis, and Hawk all run in the same line. So we had a little bit more time to rest. I'm looking, I'm running, boom. Next thing you know is I'm going down, and this Travis just down there. Michael Hawkins is on the ground in the tunnel. And I come down, and it's like, "Go, Rufus." And I'm like, "Well, dang, where Hawk at?" And it's like, "Go." And I'll go up, run mine, come back down. And the next thing you know, it's just me, and Travis is in the tunnel too. And then Coach Ed from the top says, "Go." And I was like, "What?" So I tap and go back up. I ran 5 more of them. So then I go, you know how you used to go from the stadium and you have to go down that little tunnel and you have to do your med balls after you ran those stadiums. So I'm doing med balls and Coach Ed's throwing it to me, and Travis and Hawk are still in the tunnel, throwing up, laying down on the cold concrete, and I'm over there doing med balls. And this is my freshman year. So I'm like dead tired, and I cramp up in my neck. And Coach Ed throws the ball, and I mean it hits me dead in the face. And he threw it hard. I mean, I caught it right in the face. Boom! And I go ahead and he said, "Go get the ball, Rook. Go get the ball." So I get the ball, cramping in my neck, grabbing the ball one hand, throw the ball with one hand, catching it down with the other hand. And Schmidt is just standing there with his whistle and just saying, "Go, get your count, get your count." And I'm like, "No, I can't finish this." And sure enough, I mean, they took it easy on me, and I end up making the rest of it, which if they were still as hard on me as they were the other guys, and it's like, well, damn, this kid over here just took this guy hit in the face of the med ball, did all that we asked him to do on the freaking stadium, and he still stayed here and took it the whole entire time. We're gonna let him make it. And I think that's how workouts always happen with those guys, man. I would go through workouts thinking it was easy, then there was workouts where I think they would tell you no good on the times just to see how you would react mentally, because I know a lot of times I ran the same speed as I did the times before that, and I would make it easy. And this time I couldn't make it. he just mentally would mess with me all the time. That's how I felt every workout.
That count, man. There's a gray area. Like, say the time is 16, 14, 15, 16. There's a gray area right there where everyone it's depending on what type of day they're trying to have, right?
Right, man. I hated that, man. And I'm telling you, those stadiums, when they did it that day, I've never heard that bad. And my legs shook. Like, I get to the top and you just don't stop. Once you touch the wall at the top, you have to come right back down. If you stop, my legs instantly started shaking and cramping. And that man said, come back, start over later on. And I'm like, what? Come back, start over? There's no way I'm going to make this. And sure enough, I made it through, but there's no way I ran them as fast as they wanted them to. They just want to see mentally how you're going to react to it, if you're going to come back and give effort. And that's the mental game of, you get into a game and that's where you learn it from. You're going to get tested and battled in the game. So you get tested and battled in the off season. What happens whenever it doesn't go your way? You think you did something right and they say, no, you didn't do it right. And you have to go back and repeat it. Do you get pissed off, feel sorry for yourself? Or do you go at it and attack it better than you did the time before that? And I think that's the mentality and who Schmidt is as a person. He's going to test to see who you are as a person. And either you're going to doubt if you can play football or even be at Oklahoma, or you're going to say, oh, hell no, I'm not going to let this little man beat me up and beat me at this or take it away from me.
That was an awesome story. Rue, you're the man. Appreciate the time as always. I'm sure we'll see you soon. Feel like I haven't seen you in forever.
I know, man. I'm gonna get up there and check out a practice or two whenever they get back and they really get after it in the spring. I'm sure we'll run into each other in the spring.
All right, sounds good, man.
All right, man. See y'all later.
Man, Rufus is the best. What a story.
Crazy. Dropping like flies with Schmitty, right?
God,
I can't see.
We all have those, the stadiums. How pissed is Schmitty that they changed the south end zone? Oh my gosh, I bet he's furious.
So I remember that summer that Rufus is talking about, because every year there's like a different like emphasis on some things. That year we did med ball throws, like, because they had all the bleachers off, so you just had like those concrete steps. So there was no, like, you hung off of a step and threw it to a partner that was just standing there standing on your feet. So you know what I'm saying? So there was it's like a deficit med ball. It was chaotic, to say the least. Did not go as expected. It was a slaughter.
Oh, yeah, we did decline med ball during a winter, and just a bloodbath. All right, let's get to the National College Football Roundup. But first, do you own a business? If you do, you need Insurica in your life. Insurica is one of the country's largest insurance brokers with 30 offices throughout Oklahoma, Texas, and the Southwest. Insurica is able to customize programs by accessing the latest information from many insurance carriers. They compare and contrast coverage offerings and pricing in order to design a cost-effective, comprehensive program to meet your business's specific needs. Insurica's clients become best-in-class businesses by working with Insurica's team of advisors to manage risk. Purchasing insurance is only one way to protect your business. Best-in-class businesses win by avoiding a loss in the first place. If your business partners with Insurica, you'll save huge amounts of money and take back total control of your total cost of risk. I'm an Insurica client, and you should be too. If your business wants to be best in class, connect with Insurica at insurica.com. That's INSURICA.com.
Guys, Christmas is here. So you know what that means. It's 75 degrees today, 40 tomorrow, which means it's seltzer season. And there's only one hard seltzer that we drink on this podcast, and that is Sonic Hard Seltzer from Coop Ale Works. It's perfect for any occasion. We drink it in the hot tub, by the fireplace, and at the tailgate. You can buy 12 packs of the iconic Sonic drive-in flavors like cherry limeade and ocean water, or you can grab a citrus variety pack or a tropical variety pack. You can find it at your local grocery, convenience, and liquor stores. And Gabe, I have been Sonic hard seltzering my ass off this week.
That a boy. And the cherry limeade one, it's Christmas color. So you're like, oh, this is for Christmas. Duh.
It's my favorite, but the close second is like what you were talking about, what is the classic lemonade?
Yeah, just the
Really
lime
good.
one. It's fantastic.
Yep. Awesome.
Oof. All right, National College Football Roundup. Let's get an update on the college football QB carousel as it continues to spin. Grayson McCall, if you are a fan of Coastal Carolina, you are a very happy person this week. This guy has been the Sun Belt Player of the Year back-to-back seasons. Coastal Carolina has gone 22-3 in the last couple of years. And Grayson McCall coming back for another year. Ted, I know they've got a unique offense there under Chadwell, kind of triple option principles, but they throw it around quite a bit. But he's one of the more consistent quarterbacks in all of college football, and probably doesn't get enough recognition, but this is big for Coastal Carolina. I think it's good for college football as well.
No, I totally agree. Coastal Carolina has turned into a really good football program, and the fact that they're getting him back for another season is going to be awesome. It tells me pretty much that Coastal Carolina is about to make another run and have another big time year. He's got a great record there. The numbers he has put up are ridiculous, and he's surrounded by some pretty good skill players, which, I mean, it's amazing. There's a lot of really good skill players across the country. If you get a good quarterback in a good system and they're coached well, you can see some of those guys really flourish. So I bet the rest of that football team's excited as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, Keaton Slovis, former USC Trojan who bounced once Lincoln Riley arrived. Not sure that is a coincidence at all, but he is headed to Pitt. And man, it was only a few years ago that JT Daniels was transferring from USC because it seemed like Keaton Slovis was the guy moving forward. And remember last year, and I know the COVID year 2020 was really weird, but USC was 5-1 under Slovis. And now he's moving all the way across the country to Pittsburgh. And I'm sure Pat Narduzzi is hoping he can fill the shoes or fill the void that is left with Kenny Pickett departing for the NFL. But who knows? But Slovis to Pitt, how about that?
And wasn't it before JT Daniels? Was it Max Brown?
Yeah, and didn't he transfer to Pitt too?
He transferred. It's been like, boom, one after another since Sam Darnold. It feels like. So, yeah. That's wild. It's weird, man. Really, the transfer stuff has been more quarterback driven than anything. It's you come in, you have an opportunity. If it doesn't go well, you transfer out. If they change coaches, you transfer out. If you don't get an opportunity, you transfer out. It's musical chairs right now at the quarterback position. It's been really weird. And it can't be like this everywhere, but I always look back at Alabama, and the guys that have stuck it out there have ended up having a lot of success and things have gone well. And I know it's different at a lot of places, but I don't know. I still believe, until proven otherwise, that staying somewhere, continuing to progress, get better, if you do everything right, and you've got the talent, you're going to find yourself on the field and you'll be better for it in the long run. But that's it. No one cares what I think about that. This is going to continue to happen.
Yeah, especially at the quarterback position.
Yep.
Another update for the QB carousel. Jack Miller, highly recruited guy, fantastic name. He's leaving Ohio State, right? Hopped in the portal a couple weeks ago. I think after they lost to Michigan. And with Emory Jones entering the transfer portal, now Jack Miller is going to Florida to battle Anthony Richardson for the starting quarterback job there under Billy Napier. So I like Billy Napier collecting talent at the quarterback position, creating some competition there in Gainesville. But Jack Miller, that I don't even know who that guy is, but apparently he was a really highly recruited guy and has just been sitting there in Columbus. So yeah, if you're Napier, why not?
Yeah. I don't know. Sure. Jack Miller. Is there anyone left in Ohio State's quarterback room now? It's all of a sudden everyone's transferred out. But hey, that's what happens. CJ Stroud goes out, has a really nice year. And as a coach, it's like, hey, we got a great quarterback. But on the other hand, every other quarterback in the room is going to transfer out and go somewhere else. So it's really weird. It's crazy, but it's the sport we love. So get used to it.
Yeah. And then an update on Casey Thompson. Talked to a couple people. Seems like he's got some really good options right now. Of course, they're monitoring what happens at the University of Oklahoma, but keep your eye on Nebraska. And that was your prediction, right? With Adrian Martinez going to Kansas State, that all of a sudden Scott Frost, they've got a need at quarterback. Now that Bo Nix has gone from Auburn, Casey Thompson would make some sense for Auburn, with his mobility, but also he's a better passer than Bo Nix. And then Ole Miss, right? Matt Corral moving on. We'll see, but I think there was some stuff. There were some connections at UCF, but with GJ Kinney, I think he got the head coaching job at Incarnate Word or something like that. I don't know if that affects Casey Thompson's interest in UCF, but some pretty good options for the Oklahoma product.
Yeah, it's interesting. You go from Texas, and you could just kind of wait things out and see where everyone lands, and go to the highest bidder, so to speak, whenever it comes to what's left out there. Nebraska, it'd be really hard to transfer to Nebraska, wouldn't it? You've just seen them. They haven't been able to get over the hump.
But remember, they just hired Whipple from Pitt. They stole him. He's now the offense coordinator. So if you're Casey Thompson, you're looking at it going, okay, do I trust that guy enough after watching what he just did for Kenny Pickett? Can he do that for me at Nebraska? Right? That's an intriguing scenario if you're Thompson, I would think.
Yeah, it is. If you take his athleticism and some of the things that he can do, you take that to the Big Ten, chance that he could have some success. It would be really weird that a former OU player's son plays for both of OU's biggest rivals, but makes for a cool story, I guess. We see him 2 years in a row, once at Texas and once at Nebraska. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, it'd be interesting for sure. All right, couple bowl highlights from bowl games that went down this week. We got to start. We haven't given Tulsa a lot of love this year on the podcast, and well, it's because they haven't been very good. I'm sorry, Golden Hurricane fans, but they ended their season on a high note, beating Old Dominion in the Myrtle Beach Bowl. By the way, Marty Smith and Ryan McGee on that broadcast were just, I mean, those guys are incredible together. They're awesome. But Golden Hurricane did get off to a good start in this one. Gave up a 100-yard touchdown on a kickoff return to start the football game. But then they settled in. Davis Brin, he was really efficient in the passing game. Found Josh Johnson quite a bit in that one. Golden Hurricane ran it pretty efficiently with Shamari Brooks, but really thought Tulsa's defense controlled the game, and they should, because ODU, they're not very good. But a nice way for Phil Montgomery's team to finish the season, taking some positive energy into the offseason.
Yeah. Tulsa's done pretty good job. Montgomery's done a pretty good job there in recent years. They're like a lot of programs. It's kind of going to go up and down whenever you get a good group of veteran guys together and maybe have hit on a couple of really nice, talented players. You can have some breakout years, but then there's going to be some rebuilding in between. He's done a pretty good job kind of narrowing the gap between those really good years and the down years. So, yeah, it was an interesting game. What was that played like? It kicked off at like 2:00 or 3:00 on Monday.
Let's get weird on a Monday afternoon. Why not?
Hey, but it's not bad. I was able to watch it while I did my radio show.
I assume Tulsa fans that watched that game were like, Davis Brin, where's this been all year, man? What the hell? But there's no doubt the most memorable play of that game. Do we have an epidemic of punters going rogue in college football? I mean, what was Tulsa's punter doing in the fourth quarter? It was like 4th and 16. He runs out to the right and he's like, what was going through his head? Because there was like 5 ODU defenders that tackled him behind the line of scrimmage. Like, did he black out? Was he just like, I'm doing it. Here we go. Like, I don't understand how these things continue to happen from college football punters. Like, what is happening?
Again, I've hit on this a million times. This is one of those things where college football needs to end the madness. The punt rule in college is ridiculous. Everyone can release downfield before the punter punts the football. So what they've done is they've given him a little bit of leeway. They've said, snap it, and not everyone does this, but some teams do, and hold the ball as long as you can, let your coverage get downfield, and then punt the football. And when they've done that, a lot of teams will turn and chase the guys down there, and there's no one left covering the punter, and they can maybe pick up an easy first down. As soon as you start to give those guys a little bit of room to make decisions, it's going to bite you. And it has. It's bitten several people at several different times. Just make the rule the same as the NFL, please, so I can stop watching this insanity. The punt in college football is ridiculous.
We got to rein these punters in, man. They're
bad.
They're losing it. They're losing it. That was so bad. It's such a bad decision. Oh my gosh. Okay. The other thing from a bowl game. Called my first bowl game as an analyst on the radio.
Go? Did you like it?
It was different, man. Now I had Toby rolling with me, so had the best in the business, kind of holding my hand through the entire thing. So I was on the call with T-Row for the Tropical Smoothie Cafe Frisco Bowl, which, by the way, is a mouthful, but it was a good game, good matchup. UTSA, San Diego State. All right, UTSA coming in, 12-1 football team. Won their conference title game, Conference USA. San Diego State, 11-2 football team, lost in the Mountain West championship game. Had a bunch of players out in that one. But so this was, you look at combined records, other than the college football playoff games, this matchup had the best combined record between the two teams of any other bowl game. So it was exciting to be part of that, just a small part of the broadcast. But do you want to talk about the game, or do you want to talk about what there was something that happened before the broadcast that I know you will love?
I want to talk about the broadcast.
Okay. Well, first of all, Toby Rowland's incredible. I mean, he is, it's hard to describe unless you're in the booth with him, which obviously you are for every OU game. It's hard to describe how many things he is doing at one time and doing them all seamlessly. Like, it is, the guy's, he's got a massive brain. Massive brain, and he's incredibly talented. It was the first time I really got to sit and watch him do his thing, Ted. Holy shit. That man he's amazing.
And it's all done in a very calm, easy, delivered, if there's ever like any anxiety about, oh my gosh, it's these two teams, do I know enough? Am I prepared? It's easy. You just sit back and watch and enjoy the game and let him take you on the ride, and hopefully just don't screw it up, right? It's pretty he makes it really easy.
So the most challenging thing for me is, like, you watch the play, right? And you're trying to see like the big picture of the play, but then you've got the TV monitor in there of the TV broadcast that is a couple of seconds behind, and you can turn and watch the play again before you have to say anything, right? The TV monitor, the TV feed was like 20 seconds behind.
Yeah.
So I was flying blind, no replay. So I was like, all right, by the way, you really got to focus like on the game when you have to say something almost every play. So I did my best. It could have sounded horrible, but with Toby doing the play-by-play, like, I know it sounded awesome because he's He's the best there is, dude. It was pretty fun to get to work with him in that capacity. But I got to tell you this story. And by the way, the game, really good game. San Diego State, they ended up taking control. I thought Lucas Johnson, their quarterback, he was really impressive. Threw for like 333, had 4 total touchdowns. Jesse Matthews, wide receiver that wears number 45, which, what?
Ouch. That's
but he dominated the game, man. I mean, he absolutely dominated the game for San Diego State, and UTSA, they couldn't get stops defensively.
San Diego State has had they've had a nice run of pretty good skill players out there.
Brady Hoke is doing a really good job with that program. They just built a new stadium they're moving into next year. They haven't played a home game in 2 years.
Really?
2 full years. They've been playing up in like Carson, California.
Weird. I didn't know that. Interesting.
Yeah, I know. And UTSA's best player, Sincere McCormick, their star running back, he didn't play. But this is the highlight of the broadcast, undoubtedly. So there was no pregame. We didn't have to do anything at halftime. There was no postgame. So it's like the best possible scenario for a broadcast. And right before we're going on air, like 5 minutes before, we got to start, we're talking to the engineer, a guy named Blake, in there. And I say something, and I forgot what I said, but he gets in our ears and he's like, "Oh, you guys can cuss. Like, Gabe, if you need to cuss, you can just hit the talk back and you can cuss. Like that's fine." The look on Toby Rowland's face when this man said it was priceless. He looked at him and he looked at me, and you could see just pure terror that he was like, no, don't, no, because
you cannot tell him that.
there was an email that we received from Learfield my first year of doing the radio broadcast for the Sooners, where they basically said, you guys may want to tone down the language in the commercial breaks. We all knew who that email was directed towards. So, but this guy that we had never met, right, telling me, "Yeah, dude, it's cool if you cuss. Just make sure you hit talkback." Toby's face, his reaction, like, no. Like it was
That's
like
so
a
funny.
dad telling his son, "You cannot do that." That was by far the best part of the broadcast. It was unbelievable. I will never forget the look on his face when that guy said that. "Oh yeah, you can cuss. Just hit talkback." He was like, he almost got whiplash. He turned so quickly.
Just so everyone knows, whenever we're doing our regular OU broadcast, when we go to commercial break, sometimes what we say during commercial break can still be going out into the stadium feed. So usually, like if you're in stadium, we put out a different FM channel, and you can tune into it in the stadium and get the broadcast directly from upstairs. But it's like we broadcast, it goes to Jefferson City, comes back to us, and then we put it out on the FM. But sometimes they have to take the direct feed from in the stadium right there where we're broadcasting it. So everything that we say during the breaks and everything can go out. And there's always a big panic as to, is everything we're saying going out? Can we say this during the break? Can we not? And it's just every now and then there's some funny moments that happen, and we're all like, I sure hope that we are not on air right now.
Which is why I text you my deepest and darkest thoughts during the football game.
That's right.
All right,
someday we may have
on.
to make public the text thread during the game of what we've seen that we're really talking about.
How about we don't? All right, let's finish up with our winners and losers of the week. But first,
concussions are part of football. They don't have to be part of your pool party. Nip the slip with Soft Rock's rubber safety surfacing and spend more time enjoying your outdoor pool parties and less time worrying about a slip and fall on your pool deck. Soft Rock of OKC specializes in customized slip-resistant decorative rubber surfacing for your pool decks, patios, walkways, and gym floors. Local business owners Heidi and Cody Clark at Soft Rock of OKC are ready to help you prevent that next slip. Visit softrock.com/OKC. That's softrock.com/OKC for more information. The Clarks also own the Driveway Company. The Driveway Company has tailored solutions to eliminate all of your driveway problems. They can repair cracks, clean and seal your rotting grass-filled joints to prevent water damage, ultimately saving you thousands of dollars in future repairs. Visit thedrivewaycompany.com/OKC for all of your driveway repair needs. Learn more about Soft Rock and the Driveway Company by visiting their Facebook and Instagram pages or by calling 405-294-9834.
And make sure you send your kids to Bishop McGuinness Catholic High School. Bishop McGuinness Catholic High School has a long tradition of educational excellence. With a 12-to-1 student-to-teacher ratio, no student is overlooked. Bishop McGuinness's college prep curriculum offers 22 AP courses. There are numerous clubs and organizations for students to join. And as a proud member of the OSSAA, there are 14 sports offered. If you want to provide the best possible educational and spiritual development for your children, contact Bishop McGuinness Catholic High School or visit bmchs.org. Financial aid is available. As always, Ted, kick us off. Who do you have as your winner of the week?
I got to go with A-Rod, Aaron Rodgers, ties Brett Favre, 442 touchdown passes. Incredible what he's done. He looks like a player that used to play in the NFL and is now homeless, but somehow still goes out week in and week out and absolutely just makes some of the most beautiful throws, amazing reads. The skill he has is just still, in my opinion, second to none. Fun to watch. I don't know how much longer the guy's going to play, but pretty impressive to tie a record from Favre that looked like at one point maybe be impossible, but Aaron Rodgers has done it, and he's another great game, gets the win over Baltimore. The dude is he's unbelievable.
And all of a sudden you look up, they're 11-3, number one seed in the NFC. And with how much Dallas appears to be struggling to find things offensively, and with the injuries that Tampa kind of piled up this weekend, man, starting to feel like they're the team to beat in the NFC. Am I the only one thinking that way? That's kind of how it feels to me.
Yeah, no, I agree. And obviously for them, home field in the playoffs is always a big deal. If they can get that and end up with the best record, yeah, it's starting to look that way. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, Tampa losing Godwin, Fournette going down. So yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to see there's always going to be some drama at the end of the year in the NFL for standings and stuff and seeding where you're going to be in the playoffs. But Aaron Rodgers somehow, after no off season, I guess hanging out in Hawaii, looked like maybe smoking a lot of weed and playing the ukulele nonstop and letting the beard grow, still just shows up and dominates. It's amazing.
Some guys just got it, man.
That's right. That's right.
No disrespect to Arizona and the Rams. They're both still in the picture there, but something just feels off with the Cardinals. And then the Rams, I don't know. Well, once again, feels a little off.
With Hopkins going down, and I don't know if he'd be able to make it back for the playoffs. I guess there's some rumors of that, but it's a long season, and if you can't keep all your guys healthy at the end of the year in the playoffs, it's going to make a big difference. And Green Bay's been on the bad side of that a ton, the injury stuff.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, who do you have as your loser of the week?
Of course, it comes pretty far down on the totem pole of what matters, really, but playoff fantasy football, like all of the guys going out with the COVID right now, it's crazy. It's crazy to watch how this thing's going to come down to an end in fantasy football. Obviously, that doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot, but with a bunch of stars, one getting injured, and two, the COVID list, 6 guys on the Chiefs now out with COVID. And I think it's going to continue.
You got my man, the Belldozer, again. He's got it again.
No. Well, hey, he's going to have some really good built-in natural immunity, okay?
I hope. I mean, at what point do you start questioning your immune system, right?
Yeah.
Like, I, who knows? Who knows? But yeah, man, that it's, we talked about it earlier when it comes to college football. It's starting to really feel like the NFL playoffs, and I know they dialed the testing back, right? And the guys that are fully vaccinated, they're not going to test them unless they get symptoms or unless they're showing symptoms. So maybe that'll change things a little bit. But yeah, it's starting to feel like COVID's going to have a big effect on some big games down the stretch in the National Football League, and
They
that's
almost
just really
canceled three.
unfortunate.
They
Yeah, I
almost
saw that.
canceled 3 games. So yeah,
Yeah. Did you play fantasy this year?
I did. Unfortunately,
Oh,
I've played
boy.
in 2 leagues for a long time, and it pisses me off every year. Every year I say I'm never doing it again, and then the next year rolls around. It's like, oh, okay, I'll do it.
Yeah. Oh, twist my arm. All right. If you are a whiskey or bourbon drinker, stop what you're doing. Head to your favorite liquor store and buy some Balcones products. You got to grab some of Balcones Lineage Single Malt Whiskey. It was just voted one of the top 20 whiskeys in the world by Whiskey Advocate, and you'll be shocked by how affordable it is. Also, you got to snag some of Balcones Baby Blue Corn Whiskey,
It's made from blue corn. That's the fancy corn.
and that is why it has won more than 25 awards. Last but certainly not least, you got to buy some of Balcones Pot Still Bourbon. Its big flavors make it the perfect bourbon to drink year round. In 2012, Balcones Single Malt won the Best in Glass competition, beating brands like Johnny Walker and Macallan, and became the first American distillery to win the competition. This stuff is the real deal, people. If you love great whiskey and bourbon at a great price, then Balcones products are the only way to go. The whiskey may be made in Texas, but the owners are from Oklahoma. To find a liquor store that has it, visit balconesdistilling.com. New sponsor alert and a new ad read for you.
Opolis Clothing has the coolest OU shirts. Their shirts are great, buttery soft, and they last forever. There you see Gabe for our YouTube followers, sporting one today. Bob or Bud, Barry, Bob, Brent, program guy.
Yeah.
Their shirts are the best. Opolis also has great OKC Thunder gear. Go to opolisclothing.com. That's OPOLIS clothing.com and use the promo code. This is a hard one to remember. TED, TED, and you'll get 15% off your entire order. That's opolisclothing.com and use the promo code TED, TED for 15% off.
What do you think of the promo code? They let me pick it.
Love it. Keep it simple, right?
I was like, what will be really simple and also make Ted kind of mad, but also kind of excited?
Perfect. I love it. Good
All
stuff.
right, for my winner of the week, I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles. Man, we got some Tuesday night NFL football, which was a little different, but Eagles beat the Washington football team 27-17, and Jason Kelsey getting out and running on that screen, stride for stride with Miles Sanders is just one of the most damn beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. Like, that dude's athleticism is nuts.
Yeah.
But Washington was missing a ton of guys, right? But it wasn't looking good for the Eagles early. Jalen Hurts had one of the weirder interceptions you'll see, right? Goddard drops it, then kicks it up in the air for an interception. Then Hurts fumbled and kind of got chewed out heading to the sideline too. I was like, dang, okay, Sirianni. But the Eagles, they ended up riding the ship. I thought he played a really nice game after those first 2 drives that, were clearly not ideal, turned the football over, but he threw it really well, had a couple of the rushing touchdowns. That offensive line from the Eagles, man, they were putting in some work, and they mauled Washington, kind of for the last 3 quarters of that football game. Ended up rushing for 238 yards. Damn. I mean, the Eagles, they've got the Giants, and they got Washington again, and then they've got the Cowboys to finish the season. This was a really big win for their playoff chances, and with the way that the game started, and I know that, Washington was depleted, but to fight back to win the game the way they did, kind of the dominant physical style that they played with offensively. I thought that was pretty good performance by the Eagles.
Yeah, if they can run the football the way they did, closing out the season, that's going to take them a long, long way. Should be able to beat the Giants. If Dallas can't get it going offensively, their defense is playing way better, obviously. Parsons is just unreal for them. But yeah, if you can win the line of scrimmage the way they did and dominate on the ground and, just take care of the football, that interception that you talked about, some stuff is going to happen out there, but they can take care of the football and run it the way they are. They got a chance. They have some drama there in the East.
Yeah. The NFC beast, right? Yeah. All right. For my loser of the week, thought about going with the Seahawks. Speaking of Tuesday Night Football, lost to the Rams, which means that Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks will have their first losing season in a decade, which
Crazy.
Speaks to the consistency that organization has had. But that's really tough to do in the National Football League. But yeah, just kind of a bummer for Seahawks fans. You hate to see a Seattle team struggle because everyone knows Seattle's our favorite city.
Right. No, it's
Wait,
crazy. Yeah. But, Westbrook, Russell Wilson, with the injury stuff, whenever he missed time with the finger and was able to come back, it's tough. Like to go 10 years to stay healthy, to have things, not just derail your season, really tough to do, but I'm not losing any sleep over that one.
Yeah, but my loser of the week, the LA Lakers, man. And I know you're not watching NBA yet, Ted, although close. It's almost Christmas, man.
Right.
But
I happened to be watching the other day somehow. I don't know how or why, but I was watching whenever Anthony Davis got hurt.
Yeah. Started the week with the news that Anthony Davis is going to miss some time with the sprained MCL. Then Tuesday, they lost to the Suns. And the Suns are good, right? Especially now Devin Booker is healthy again. Like, that's a good basketball team. Nothing wrong with them losing. But LeBron rolled his ankle, looked a little hobbled the rest of the way. Now he kept playing, ended up with 34 points. He played well, but didn't look like he was moving around very well as that game wrapped up. But so you've got a banged up LeBron. Anthony Davis is out for a while. I mean, hey, shocking, I know. But in this game, as I was watching it back on DVR, at one point, the Lakers lineup was Westbrook, Isaiah Thomas, Carmelo Anthony, Trevor Ariza, and Rajon Rondo. And I was looking at the lineup. I was like, how is that possibly an NBA lineup in the year of our Lord 2021?
3 point guards.
And it was just, I just looked at the lineup and I paused it. I was like, what? Oh my. And you look at, they started Taylor Horton Tucker. They started Wayne Ellington. They started DeAndre Jordan. Like I think Horton Tucker was like 1 of 13 in this game. Isaiah Thomas was like 1 of 11. All of a sudden you look up, the Lakers are a 500 basketball team. They're 16-16. When they traded those pieces for Westbrook, everyone was kind of like, what are they doing? Seems like they're getting rid of some good guys. Like, and how's this all going to fit together? It hasn't, man. And I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what moves they can make, but the Lakers ain't winning anything this year. I know that. Nothing.
No.
Like, no chance.
Well, you're right. I feel like LeBron has done this thing as he's gotten older to where he's not even going to put out any effort at all or try and stay on the court consistently until the playoffs and then try and be healthy and make a run there. But you've got to be really talented to do that. We do have to talk about Austin Reeves hitting that game winner on that kick out from Russell Westbrook. That was pretty cool to see him hit that. But have you ever had a sprained MCL?
No. I was like, listen, I had pretty much one significant injury in my football career, and it was my rookie year in the NFL. and it was total explosion of the right knee. Other than that, I was unbelievably healthy for an offensive lineman.
Yeah, I had a grade 2 MCL sprain one time. Listen to this. A Saturday walkthrough, a practice squad player dives for a football and comes and hammers into my knee.
Did you fight him?
He got cut. It was his first week there, and it was like weird stuff all week with him, and it was bad. But here's the thing. I played the next day with it. And you can play with the MCL. Now, basketball obviously is it's different than football, and I understand that. But if you would have seen Anthony Davis with his sprained MCL, it looked like he got shot by a sniper out there. He went down on the floor, rolled around in agony. Finally, they helped him to his feet. He walked maybe 5 steps, collapses to the ground again. They carry him off to the side. He sits on the bench for a little bit, and then there's a camera shot of him going down the tunnel, and he collapses in the tunnel again down to the ground. It was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. It was
and the Oscar goes to.
Oh man,
he does live in Hollywood, man. Give him a break. So you always give yourself shit for saying that Anthony Davis was going to be too skinny to succeed in the NBA. Dude, and I've heard other people talk about it. Like, is he getting like a little fluffy or like too big? Like, that dude is big now, like thick. I don't know. Yeah. It's just weird. Like, I don't know if that's playing a role. I guess he was getting injured when he was skinny, so maybe he's just injury prone. But I mean, it seems like, I don't know if he's living in the weight room or if he's eating different. I don't know, man. But it's like someone took an air pump to that dude's upper body and just.
Yeah, it's like chest and shoulders too. They just keep going. Yeah, you're right. I don't know. It's weird, but
he heard what you said and he was like, I'll show Lehman.
Yeah. He's a walking injury right now. Well, I guess not even a collapsing injury every 4th step. That was hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing at it. Oh.
All right. We got to end on that. Episode 175 in the books. We'll have a new podcast that'll drop Monday morning. We'll preview the Alamo Bowl with our man, Jeff Schwartz. Just a reminder, you can hear Teddy from 2 to 6 on 94.7 The Ref. You can hear me from 3 to 5 on Sirius XM Big 12 Radio Channel 375. Merry Christmas, everybody. Hope you guys get everything you want. Hope everyone is safe. Enjoy the time with your family. We are incredibly thankful that you guys listen to this podcast and support what we're doing. So Merry Christmas. Enjoy the holiday season. Until next time, we appreciate y'all for listening, and do what you always do, Oklahoma. Take care of each other.